Welcome to Procrastination Limits, where the main point is optional. In Deltarune, you're able to end fights peacefully by either using the spare or pacify button once you reach certain conditions, though I seem to have misplaced my spare key. Oh well, might as well see how much of a pacifist I can be without sparing or pacifying in Deltarune Chapter 2. Here are the rules. For every battle, I have to try to make sure that I end it peacefully, if possible. However, I'm not allowed to use either the spare button nor the pacify to end the battle, which means that I have to try to avoid enemies that cannot be spared without using those two buttons. If I'm in a forced encounter that requires either spare or pacify to end it peacefully, I must forego my pacifism to attack. I'm using a scoreboard to dictate how good I do in this challenge, or if it even is possible. On part 2 of the rules. Starting in Chapter 2, if a recruit is lost, it cannot add to the point total after. As for recruits, they can only give as many points as the requirement to actually recruit them. Since the requirement for a werewire is 6 spares, if they can be recruited in this challenge, they can only add up to 6 points. Sparing a 7th one will not add to the total. Multiple instances of the same boss will count separately. So for example, Berdly on the roller coasters can give 1 point, and Berdly in Cyber City will give another point, if they can be spared without using either spare or pacify. Now that the rules are done, I just want to mention that this is starting from a fresh save file, not continuing from a chapter 1 save, and the reason for that won't be obvious until probably the end of the chapter. And now, onto the challenge. So as Torio wakes Chris up from the mischievous deeds they did last night, we're gonna go back to sleep. Basically skipping the whole light world section this chapter. And I'm just gonna turn on auto run again and head to our next battle, which is these two plug boys that become werewires. Now I thought that you could use throw wire on them over and over again to spare them without using the spare button, but as you'll see in a few turns, it doesn't work out. So as you can see, the first one is at 100% mercy right now. I'm going to use throw wire one last time, aiming for that one specifically. And as you can see, it's still in the battle. So, since peace isn't an option, we do what we do best. And once the battle ends, we're free to go ahead, except that 2 more werewires appear. Well, I guess we have to fight them as well. Refer back to the rule where Pacify in cutscenes does not count. Now, our next encounters are avoidable, which are the werewires in this room. Luckily, they go on a cycle that you can easily walk past through, even get the glow wrist for free. For this room with the task, just hang to the right and you'll avoid them easily. So we're just gonna head south here to get this blue check mark by avoiding some tasks. And back up here, we're gonna go around this raccoon. Show off our spelling skills. That's right, I passed 2nd grade. And we're gonna go past raccoon again. Then after another spelling bee, and opening another chest, we got 2 more check marks. So after that, we're gonna fight Sweet Captain and Cakes, and excuse my extremely bad gameplay, these attacks are just way too hard to dodge. They're like not even telegraphed at all or anything. Now onto the actual Sweet Captain and Cakes battle, which will just end once we make them all dance. Which, if you remember correctly, it takes a few turns. However, we can shorten that by purposely using Dance X on KK, which will make it so they always target Chris for that turn. And when Chris is down, Susie will force Ralsei to learn our action immediately. So we get a special version of the dancing. And after that, we're gonna turn in our 3 blue check marks to get the hacker with us. Next in this room, we're gonna just have to go around all of these square wires, which is simple enough, but a bit tedious if you're slow like me. And our next forced encounter is against Berdly, which, if you remember, ends once you use bump X enough times. So, would you really call this non-violent? I mean, I used the yak button, so it's a fair game for us. But as our friends abandoned us for the slime, we're gonna go ahead and follow Noelle. But before that, we face my favorite enemy from Chapter 2. Pop-up. Look at them, so cute. But also, if you just click on them twice, or at least when there's 3 enemies on screen, they'll crash, which sounds painful, but it actually just recruits them all. So it's fair game. Our next forced encounter is a forced battle against Vera-Kun, which no matter how much take care X or N action is used, they will not leave. So I guess mine is the only option. We also have these Ambyu-Lances, which we can just avoid. And even got the pink ribbon. Very easily, I'd say. So with the soft-spoken jingle, everything is normal. Now for this Vera-Kun, we can just avoid it completely and not even encounter it. But protecting a bounce blade, which is nice I guess, so just bait it out on the left and then just run towards the bounce blade while the Vera-Kun is slowly moving towards you. After that, you have to avoid these wires, which is just done by sticking to those top sidewalks. Next, we must resist the cheese. Do not get the cheese touch. Which is simple, I mean, it's just one... You have to be very, very careful. Don't want any mouse to hear us. Careful, careful. Next is the Berdly fight, which is pretty normal from a normal playthrough here, except once the wires appear. Now, I know I only said you can't use Pacify, but I feel like it's implied that also doesn't count Sleep Mist, similar to how we can't use Rude Buster or Ice Shock unless it's violence. So we keep using Play Dumb, Play Smart, and N action on Berdly. And it may take a while, but at least sure, brother. Oh yeah, at least it's possible to get these three without using spare Pacify. Though, since the Werewires are lost recruits, we will not add them to our point total. Only Berdly counts here. Now we go on to everyone's favorite #1 salesman, which just ends after the final deal. So after a nice friendly reunion, with the team all back together, we can go ahead, but first, our next fight is against Noel. Oh, that's right, we have a truce. Sorry, forgot about that. We'll just keep going. Our next actual battle is with this Ambyu-Lance, which, no matter how many times you get hit or avoid them, they will just stay there. So, you know what that means. Our next unavoidable encounter is against 3 mice. And we're actually going to use Upgrade on them to have them lead the battle. Sadly, that brings in 3 tasks in their place that we can't spare. So, we'll lose tasks as a recruit, but Mouse stay in an in-between state between recruited and lost. I don't have a word for this, so let's just use Clopin. After we get kidnapped by Queen and Rousey gets forgotten, we're in her mansion. And once we're in Queen's mansion, we're gonna leave the mansion, go back to Spamton and buy the key thing, and leave. Just to come back with the empty disc and fill it up. So we can battle Spamton Neo. Unlike Double in Chapter 1, you can spare Spamton without using the spare button by just snapping the wires. Yep, this is a totally non-violent way of finishing the fight. Just ignore those dead-looking eyes. So now, I skipped a few rooms just to show you Spamton Neo, but basically for the Slushlings, just avoid hitting the faces. But for the racetrack, you could just move back to the left and reload the room again. And you can break as many bases as you want. Now, an interesting thing about Task Manager is that if you spare her, the tasks surrounding her also get spared. But there is no way of sparing her without using the spare button, so you know what we'd have to do. And now those 3 mice that got away have now combined into Mouse Wheel, which we can actually spare in this challenge by just using Catch enough times. Which is actually different based off if you spare Task Manager or not, but I feel like a lot of people haven't seen the text Mouse Wheel ran out of mice, since either they go for all mercy or no mercy. Next room, we have these things with rolling vases, which can be easily avoided by just going to the northern room. You can interact with the dinner plates to get a glow shard, but it's not necessary. Our next forced encounter is against Rules Card and Trash, which ends after we take it down to final health. After that we have Wire, which can be a little annoying to avoid. I accidentally went too far up there. But basically, first you want to bait them to the left once. And then once they're moving to the right, you want to go to Noel's room. So, after they move to the right, you actually have a lot more time to eat. And in Noel's room, might as well take some souvenirs with us. And once we leave her room, Square Wire will be gone. Now for Queen and Berdly. Luckily, Berdly has been so kind to us in every one of our battles, by not needing us to use the spare button to actually finish those fights. And this battle is actually no exception. So, one thing that is different from how I normally do it is that when Queen puts up her shield, there's two ways of taking it down, either using group toast or by simply attacking it. Attacking it is way faster, but since one of the rules is that violence can only be used as a last resort, I can't attack the shield for now. It's nothing major, just a few extra turns. Although after the final loosening of Berdly's wire, the battle is over, and Berdly will even free himself from the wire. Which just makes it a little more annoying on how regular wear wires can't do that if you loosen it 1,000 times, or whatever. Now against Giga Queen, we combine our powers to be able to reach the top shelf, but that's not important, and doesn't work here. So here comes Berdly to not only save us, but also show us how little friends we have. And we combine all our powers to make a brand new Thrash machine. So, for the Giga Queen fight, it's just Punch Out, and if you know Punch Out, it's just fighting. And since we can only fight, this will count as a fighting end. So that's another point lost. So, that's the entirety of Cyberworld. So you think I'm going to take out the totals right now, but actually, not yet. See, after Queen kicks our butt into tomorrow, we're gonna wake up in the light world. It doesn't happen immediately after being semantics. Anyways, after Noel and Berdly leave, we're gonna head back to Castletown and do a few things there. First, Queen will wonder about why is there so little friends with us, especially why Newbird is not here. And as sad as the tale it is, she accepts it and reminds us that we have truce to our last. It'd be much easier if many of her subjects were willing to just not require the spare key, but oh well. So what we're gonna do is head to the dojo and do the Graves challenge. You see, the one giving us the Graves challenge is a Jigsaw ring. Back in chapter 1 we couldn't spare them without using the spare button or Pacify, but here in chapter 2 we are doing a battle against them, and the battle ends after you gain 100 TP without the spare key. So, I count this as a win. So, even though we already had them recruited, now we're there. They're an extra point for us this chapter. Now in the cafe, since I didn't get here earlier in the game, I'm just gonna use it to show every recruit we could get in chapters 1 and 2. Assuming that if chapter 1 also had the recruit mechanic. Just these 4. These 4 are all my friends in the world, let's see. As I stand beside my only friends in this world, I declare that we only use fighting to end a battle 12 times, while we manage to spare 14 enemies without using spare or Pacify. Which gives us a total of 2 points of this chapter. That may not be a lot, but at least it's something. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching the video, leave a like, and if you want to see more, how about take your finger and stab it into the subscribe button. So you can watch other challenge videos in similar vein as this, where I try to basically play a game in the wrong way. Also, the videos for chapters 1 and 3 are already out, so you can check them out soon. And chapters 4 videos shouldn't take too long to finish, or at least I hope so. But for now, I'll see you next time wherever that is.